No one elected it. No one handed it power. No one gave it permission. No one stood in front of a room and said, "This system will decide who rises and who disappears." And yet, that is exactly what happened. Quietly, systematically, at scale. Because before people become rich, they become visible. And in the modern world, visibility is where wealth begins. Most people still think wealth begins with money. It doesn't. It begins with attention. Before investors trust a company, someone has to notice it. Before people buy a product, they have to see it. Before a creator grows, someone has to click. Before a business scales, someone has to care. And before any of that happens, something, somewhere, has already decided what deserves to be seen first. That is where the real shift began. Not in the bank, not in the market, not in the boardroom. Inside the systems that choose what gets momentum. For most of history, wealth followed power, and power followed people. Banks, boards, editors, executives, investors, gatekeepers. There were names. There were faces. There were people you could question, people you could blame. Now, the gatekeeper is harder to see. It doesn't wear a suit. It doesn't shake your hand. It doesn't explain itself. It ranks. It scores. It predicts. And then it decides what gets pushed forward. The old gatekeepers were human. The new one is mathematical. Every single day, millions of things compete for visibility. A startup, a job applicant, a product, a song, a creator, a message, an ad, an idea. But you never see all of them. You only see what survives the filter. And the filter no longer asks, who deserves a chance? It asks something colder. What is most likely to perform? What is most likely to hold attention? What is most likely to generate a signal? That is a very different question, and a very dangerous one. The system watches everything: click-through rate, retention, engagement, conversion, velocity, completion, repeat behavior. It learns what gets noticed, what gets remembered, what gets trusted, what gets bought. And then it does what optimization always does. It sends more energy in that direction, again and again and again. Not because it knows what is meaningful, because it knows what is measurable. And once something performs well, the system gives it more visibility. More visibility creates familiarity. Familiarity creates trust. Trust creates clicks. Clicks create sales. Sales attract capital. And capital amplifies whatever already looks like winning. That is the part most people miss. The system doesn't print the money. It decides what gets attention first. And in the modern world, attention is often the first form of capital. Once something looks inevitable, money starts moving toward it. The scariest part? It still feels fair. No one sees a villain. No one sees a closed door. No one receives a message saying, "You were denied." They are simply not shown, not pushed, not surfaced, not amplified, not selected. And the people who are selected still appear to have earned everything alone. That is what makes the system so powerful. It hides selection inside performance. So success still looks natural, even when it has already been amplified by something invisible. Once the model gives you an edge, that edge grows. If you are shown more, you are trusted more. If you are trusted more, you convert better. If you convert better, the system shows you even more. And suddenly, what looked like merit becomes a loop. The visible become more visible. The trusted become more trusted. The funded become safer bets. And the gap widens. Not because someone cheated, because the model kept rewarding what already looked like success. And what about everyone else? The ones with strong ideas, but weak signals. The ones with talent, but no momentum. The ones who could have built something real if they had been seen long enough to be believed. The system does not block them. That would be obvious. It does something more efficient. It lets them remain invisible. And invisible people rarely become wealthy, not because they lacked value, because the system never gave that value enough light to grow. The point of no return was not when AI became more intelligent. It was when money started trusting it. When investors trusted dashboards more than instinct. When capital trusted signals more than judgment. When markets began reacting to prediction faster than humans could react to reality. Because signals are faster. And speed wins. AI did not decide who dreams bigger. It did not decide who deserves more. It decided who gets seen first. And in a world where visibility becomes money, that is dangerously close to deciding who gets rich. Because once attention starts flowing in one direction, trust follows, capital follows, power follows. And after that, the world starts calling it success. In the next episode, AI doesn't decide who gets rich. It decides who looks dangerous.
The day AI decided who becomes a threat.